What is up, everybody? In this video, Large Marge is going to be back in action, and if you don't know who Large Marge is, she is my 2004 Chevy 1500 that I solid axle swapped, put 46-inch tires on, and I love her, you love her. She's gonna be back in action. But for now, me and my mom are hopping in my Jeep to go scope out an area for something that we're gonna actually do this weekend. So basically, a couple of days ago, the president of the Hunters Range Snowmobile Association hit me up and said, hey, we need to get a new outhouse that they built up on top of the mountain before the snow flies, and we need to do it soon. The only problem is you can't get a normal pickup up there. The roads are very rough. They're trails to, I think it's something around 7,000 feet. So that's where Large Marge comes in. But before I do that, take Large Marge there with possibly a trailer, I want to scope it out. So today we're going to be playing with onX maps, go out there, scope out the road, and drop some kind of waypoints and let us know where obstacles are, because I can then take that map, share it with other people so that they know what's there, how difficult, what they're looking at to be able to get up there themselves. And it's fun for me to play with new fun things and new apps. So I'm excited. I've been playing with onX for the last month or two, still learning a bunch. So let's go, we can learn together. So I got onX open here. So the cool thing is these are other people's tracks. You can click on it. Hidden Lake Road gives you a difficulty rating, when it's suitable to drive, what it's accessible by. This one is everything, because it's pretty much a Forest Service road. A little description there, you can put photos. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this is a thing I really like, is it shows the elevation, and you can drag your thumb across it and the dot will move on the route. And I find that very useful, especially for wintertime. I often underestimate how many uphills there are. So if you track a route, even one that you've done several times, turns out, you can go back and drag your finger along, the dot will go to, you know, through the route and show you where it goes up, where it goes down. That would have been very useful for us while towing vehicles out, because I'm like, well, I think there's only one more uphill here, and turns out there's like 10 more. So I'm really excited to use that for this winter. Anyways, enough blabbing for now. My mom's gonna hop in and we are gonna hit the road. All right, so we have made it to the trailhead. As you can see on the map, by the way, you can download areas to use offline. So no matter what, no matter the service, it's always going to be perfect resolution because it's downloaded. So I got a whole chunk here downloaded. We are right here. So I'm going to start recording a track, and then along that, I'll be able to drop a pin or take a picture at any obstacle that's bad. And then once I have that saved, I can share that to other people in the group that are coming up, and they'll be able to tell for themselves where the bad spots are, if they want to just park somewhere and get a ride the rest of the way. So let's get started. Okay, so we've come across our first little obstacle. So on the map, I'm going to, what do I do? Push, and then I can add a photo. Take a photo of the deactivation, and then I can name it whatever I want. So just put deactivation, save, and then it's on there as a photo for next time. So when I'm at home and don't remember what's what, I can remember what we have to tackle and decide if the trailer can make it through here. So they've piled up a bunch of dirt, but there's a pretty decent little path going around it. So we just passed 6,400 feet, and this is the reason that time is of the essence. So there's a couple inches of snow on the ground. It's currently Tuesday, and they're wanting to do this Saturday. So hopefully there's no more snowstorms that come through before now and then, because we've still got a lot of trail to go, and a little bit of snow would make this not as easy. All right, just like that, we have made it to Gordon Sidney cabin, and that is the outhouse that's getting replaced. So I'm really glad we did this. I'm really glad I was able to mark some bad spots on the onX map, because there's gonna be some spots. So like I said, this is Tuesday, we're doing it on Saturday. Yeah, should be good. We're gonna go down the other way, make sure that way is more difficult and that the way we came up is the way to go. But yeah, we'll get a couple shots of going down. It's gonna be a time trying to bring Marge with a flat deck trailer up here, let me tell you. Just shy of 7,000 feet up here. So in the winter, the snow is basically right up to the deck there. Same with the outhouse, that's why it's got such a big lift kit. And that's the view. So one more thing while we're up here, I just wanted to mention, this is all volunteer work that we're doing. It's for the Hunters Range Snowmobile Association, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, which there is so many volunteer hours that go into making clubs like this work. I'm gonna volunteer my time, as well as Denny and fuel and vehicle and all that. So big shout out to onX Offroad for sponsoring this video. And if you guys want to check out onX, you can use my code BruceCook20 to get 20% off. It also helps out. All the money raised from that goes towards stuff like this, helping people out, and just doing what we can to give back to especially the backwoods community and keep stuff like this going. So thank you guys, thanks onX, and let's continue on the trail. Oh, this is one of those spots that looks very different in the summer compared to the winter. It's very rock crawly right now. And in the winter, you just cruise on up. Well, we're making our way. There's definitely some bony sections, so have to keep in mind driving Marge, which is no problem, but towing a tandem axle trailer. So might try and get some new tires on that trailer before this trip, because right now they're small trailer tires, and I want to change that trailer into an off-road recovery trailer anyways, so might make a couple changes before this weekend. Not gonna lie, I much prefer this in the winter. It is chunky, and in the winter it is nice and smooth, just a compact snow highway. And you'd never know any of these logs or stumps are here either. Well, we made it back to pavement, and definitely made some notes on that map. A couple areas where I probably won't be going again, and definitely not with the trailer. So didn't show too much of the outside footage because there's gonna be lots of that come Saturday. So just like this, I'll be back at the shop. All right, I am back at the shop, and behind me is my new to me trailer that I purchased off my brother-in-law. It, what is it? 14 foot-ish, kind of deck over, but kind of not. I think those are 3,500 pound axles. It's not in the best shape. There's some questionable welds, 15-inch wheel, 14-inch wheel. The jack's kind of ripped off. That's a boat winch, but there's a bunch of broken welds there. The hitch is kind of tweaked a little bit. Definitely a few things to fix up. And by a few, I mean several. And by several, I mean probably about 20. But the plan for this thing is to make it kind of my off-road recovery trailer. Before the weekend, I would like to find some hopefully 31, maybe 33-inch tires on some 15-inch wheels. First thing is I gotta find the key for this hitch lock. Fix some welds for the jack. I might take off that front thing because long term I'm gonna install like a 8,000 or 10,000 pound winch up front. I'll have to at least cut off the fronts there and the backs of the fenders, because as you saw on that trail, there is many big boulders and logs and stumps that would just rip those fenders off right away. So oh yeah, another one I'm gonna try and get to is maybe do some little slides from the back of the frame to the back of the edge of the trailer, so it could drop down and slide on things and not rip the back off. The suspension is basically touching the frame, the shackles, especially on the other side, it literally is touching, so the springs do nothing. Eventually for that, I think I'm gonna take the suspension out of it and just run solid, so no springs, because trailers are sprung for their heaviest capacity. So when you're going down the road empty anyways, the suspension's not doing anything. So especially if I'm running 31s or 33s, air them down a little bit, there'll be a little bit of give in the tires for suspension. Off-road, I don't care. It would actually be more predictable just to have no flex, no suspension, know what it's gonna do. Anyways, enough babbling. First thing is to find the key and get the hitch off. All right, thankfully I was able to track down the key, so we're just gonna get this unlocked and then I'm gonna move the trailer into the shop so it's a little more comfortable to work on it in case it rains. There we go. Key was a little sticky, but got it in the end. Got it prepared. Got the Kubota, gonna hook on and move it inside. There we go. All right, got the trailer inside. I think I'm gonna start by fixing this here. Even though I'm gonna be taking it off, it'll be a good thing to have for now. So just clean this up, use the winch to pull it back, get this back up on top, and that will also help support the jack for now. Okay, well, lucky for you, that was probably only several seconds of video. For me, that was like half an hour of life, all to just do that stupid little weld. So I just got a couple beads on either side, because like I mentioned, I'm not keeping this. It's just for this weekend. So I just did the sides, didn't tie it into the jack, so I can cut those off after and easily remove this. Straightened up the jack a little bit. Who knows if it'll stay, but it's good enough for now. Again, I'll be bracing that when I do the winch and everything, tie everything together so it's super strong. So I think next step is going to be getting the lift arms down. I'm going to try and get them under the deck. Since they're at an angle, I'm not sure if I can get the front ones wide enough, but if not, I'll just chain it up and lift it so that I can tackle cutting the fenders off. For now, I'm just gonna cut the bottoms because I'm not sure if I'm gonna find bigger tires in time. If I find bigger tires, those whole fenders will have to go because they'll hit. So I'm kind of working while searching marketplace because I don't wanna do unnecessary work if I don't have to, if I'm just gonna have to cut them off, but at least cutting those off is only 20 minutes, half hour of work. All right, I got the fenders cut off, front and back. Didn't spend a ton of time because they're probably coming off anyways. So I'm on to the next project. I'm going to put some sliders from this back corner of the frame to the back corner of this rear bumper, or whatever you want to call it, so that if we're sliding off rocks, it doesn't grab here or mess up the lighting, the nice wiring. So In the corners, I think I'm gonna use that crappy old angle iron. Will match the trailer nicely. Look at these, look at some of these welds. I mean, those are just like mounts, so it doesn't really matter. It's like 1/2 inch solid steel, but yeah, those are nice. Those, yeah. Okay, well, I got the two sides pretty much done. I'm gonna clean them up, make them look a little better. It's hard to do all those angles, but I'm tired, I'm hungry, it's getting late, so we will see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. It is the next day. I spent some time on Marketplace last night and was able to find some new tires and wheels for the trailer. So, just open up my truck tailgate. There they are. So these are off Ranger, so they're the same bolt pattern. You can see the wheel on that one there. Pretty basic design. I'll probably throw some black spray paint on them at some point. They're Duratrax, 245, 75, 16, which I think works out to just a bit more than 30 inches. Tread is probably like 60%. So it's gonna be good enough for me. I'll get them unloaded and we'll see how they look. Well, they're on. They look great, except what I was worried about. They just touch the frame on the inside. So I'm gonna need some spacers, which sucks because I could have just bought adapters from 5 on 4.5 to 5 on 5. And then there was a bunch of sets of wheels, or I could have run my old Jeep wheels or a number of things, but you can generally find spacers for a little cheaper than adapters. So back onto Marketplace I go to hopefully find some cheap spacers. So unfortunately, Marketplace did not pull through for me this time, but my buddy Jason at Capit did, and he's got a set of spacers ordered for me that'll be here tomorrow. So for now, I mean, there's a little sneak preview. Looks pretty nice. Gonna be able to keep the fenders for now. So for now, I'm gonna move on to another project, which is going to be taking care of this. So this is like an old dolly. They attached the frame around, and the shackles have been just resting on here, not being suspension and wearing this flat anyways. So I'm gonna just cut 4 little pieces and jam them in here, weld them solid, and just take out the suspension. So 4 of those, they'll all be equal. It hasn't had suspension anyways for the last several years, so this is gonna be no different, but just less stress on things. I don't like the idea of this sprung steel being bound up like that. And eventually I was going to take out the suspension anyways, which I'll still do it properly, but for now I'll weld to the top plate here, so that's easily removable, and a little bit to here, so it can just be cut off. And that's gonna be the best solution for this weekend. Ouch. Well, the mounting of the axles solid is complete. It wasn't pretty. I'm not going to show you too close, but yeah, there's a 3.5 inch square tube, or 1.5 inch square tube, 3.5 inches long between each axle and the frame, so that's not going anywhere. Now I'm just gonna do some maintenance things, check the hubs, make sure they're nice and tight and have grease in them, so that's boring, not gonna show you that. I'll bring you back on the next, more exciting thing. Skids, rock sliders, earth sliders, whatever they are done. So got the two beefy ones at an angle. And if a stump comes up here or anything, it'll push the trailer off, which is nice. Little lighter duty ones there. And who knows, if we scrape that enough, I might add a couple more and then skin the back so it actually slides off things with some, I don't know, thicker 1/8" sheet or something like that. But that will be a problem for the future. So I'll just touch up the welded spots with some paint, even though the rusty kind of matches the rest of the trailer. And then that's probably gonna do it for tonight. So then all that's left for tomorrow is redoing the wiring. It's just the plug for the lights. And then, putting the spacers and tires on. And this puppy should be good to go. And then we'll bring down Marge and do a couple things on that big gal, and we'll be ready. It's the next day, which is Friday. I got my wheel spacers, picked them up from Capit. So I'm gonna get those put on. Last night, like I said, I was able to get the back finished, the wiring's finished. So yeah, let's unbox these puppies and hopefully they work. Here they are. 5 on 4.5. I think they're 1.5 inches. I went with the cheapest ones that I could get in the fastest amount of time. So hopefully they work. Well, they're going on. So far, so good. And that fender gap is fairly close, but the suspension is, well, there is no suspension anymore. So that is where the fender gap is gonna stay. Looks good to me. Sweet, that did the trick. There's now a sufficient amount of space. Since they were just touching and these are 1.5 inches, it should be 1.5 inch gap there on the frame. They're still just inside the fenders, which is kind of cool. Didn't plan for that. And eventually I'll be taking these off anyway, or at least making them drive over. So not really worried, but at least we get fenders for this weekend. One less thing to get pulled over for. So I'll get the other 3 on and we'll be ready to drop this puppy down. Tires are all mounted. They all look good, clear good. So I'm gonna drop it down for the first time. So the tires are fairly centered, so it kind of supports its own weight. So you can tell, not a lot of tongue weight on this beast, which is good for maneuvering off-road. Obviously good for this portion of being able to turn, but a bit more tail swing and overhang for departure angle, but compromise. All right, trailer's moved out. Time to bring Marge down. Waking her up from her few-month sleep, back into action. Soon, limo, soon. All right, got Marge down. She's a little jacked up right now. Just doing a couple little tweaks to the coilovers and a little smashing of the fenders. Got the trailer hooked up to it before it rides perfectly with that little drop hitch. So starting to get dark. Just gonna get my dad's help to hook up the trailer, get Marge loaded, strapped down so that we're ready to leave early in the morning. And just like that, this video is already like 25 minutes long and I don't want the video to be like 2.5 hours long. So that's gonna do it for this one. On the next video, which is probably gonna be tomorrow, we are dragging Marge out, putting the outhouse on, dragging it up the mountain. So be sure to tune into that. Big thanks to Onyx once again. All the details for that will be in the description below. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you on the next one.